There's joy in the house. A conversation about the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls with special guest Jade Rogers on this episode of Play Saves the World, the ongoing conversation about the meaning of play for human flourishing. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Play Saves the World. My name is Daniel Hilty.
My name is Kevin Taylor.
My name is Jade Rogers.
Jade, welcome.
Hello.
We are so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
We are, we didn't talk about this before starting to record, but we are coming from different corners of the U.S. this morning. Though, Jade, I think you and I are a lot closer than Kevin is. You're up in Omaha, Nebraska. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just down the road from you in Columbia, Missouri, central Missouri. And Kevin's way out there on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm close to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Our fair city.
Yeah.
Queen City.
There is much heat here in Columbia at the moment. Are you all also encountering the heat of August, where both of you are?
It's very hot.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Okay.
We had this heat dome something a few weeks ago, so it's hot here, but it's not as bad as it was. You were just sitting over 100 regularly a few weeks ago, which never happens here. So it was crazy.
That wears on you.
And I've never been to Nebraska, ever. I need to fix that.
There is a lot more than you think there is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a native of Omaha?
I am.
Okay. Born and raised in Omaha. I have to say I've been to other parts of Nebraska, but I haven't been to Omaha as well. And from where I am, there's really no excuse. We could get up there in an easy day drive.
There are things to do, and there are definitely some major events put on by an organization that I know pretty well.
Yeah? What organization is this? Tell us more.
The House of Afros, Capes, and Curls.
This sounds like an amazing organization. What is the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls, please?
Which is the best name ever, by the way.
It is a great name.
Thank you. So, our mission, we bring people together based on a love of sci-fi, fantasy, comics, gaming, tabletop gaming, and Afrofuturism. We do that through community engagement events, our special events, and our educational programming. Our community engagement starts off with game nights. That's where we started. But we also work with other organizations. Last year, we didn't do any game nights. We did nap nights. We encourage people to come and on a Sunday afternoon, come and take a nap.
Interesting.
That's genius.
It was a whole sleep series with each one was a little different, with sound baths or meditation or gentle movement. But it was really an opportunity to push rest and add things to people's sleep hygiene regimen. So,
did they bring yoga mats, or what? How did they?
So we provided yoga mats and blankets, two different types, because people need different things. Some were lighter, some were heavier. And we had a huge room. Our offices are at the University of Nebraska at Omaha and their Community Engagement Center. So it's a space where organizations, people across the city can rent or reserve conference rooms, meeting rooms. And so we took the largest meeting room on a Sunday at 3:00. Nobody's in the building, and they cleared it out for us, this huge room. And people would come with their blankets, additional blankets, in the colder months in their onesies. People brought their journals, stuffed animals, just all sorts of things. And they would set up their little areas.
Oh, funny.
Sometimes people brought a book and just sat. Had a couple of people that just sat in a chair, and then eventually got on the floor, and they just had a book or nothing. Just got on the floor and just laid down. But it was a concentrated time that we said, okay, we're going to start really gentle, and then for about an hour, we just let people sleep, and people slept, and I had to keep myself up more than
darling.
It's like,
wow.
oh wait, I gotta run stuff.
I love
And then
that.
afterwards, if people wanted to, they could join us for tea and some snacks and just gentle conversation. Is what I like to say. Gentle conversation. Sometimes people stayed, and there were some times where people were like, no, I gotta get back to life. But it was just a way to connect without having to engage. Because sometimes you want to be with people, but you really don't have the capacity to be with people. So for people that wanted to get out and do something and be around, but also take care of themselves, that's what Nap Night was.
Sort of parallel play for adults. Kind of, yeah.
What a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
And we should say, the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls really well. You are the founder and chief innovation officer of the house. So there's its story better than anyone. Where did the idea come from for the? Well, I want to ask about the house too. We want to ask about the house, but I find this nap night. So where did the idea come from for that? Please,
Daniel's already yawning.
So that was our community engagement. For 2024, and it really came from I was tired. We do a lot of events. Our educational program is growing, and 2024 I just recognize that I'm running on fumes, but I'm not the only one. I have a lot of friends and people that I work with in the community that were giving and pouring a lot into the community and running on fumes too. And I said, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? We need to rest. So it was just our way of promoting, just sit down, child, and rest. So, yeah.
That's so great. And obviously it really resonated with folks in the community as well. Yeah. It reminds we had a previous guest on the podcast, Julian Davis Reed, who's a jazz musician, and but he also has a project called Notes of Rest, which is about using music and reflective questions and meditation and scripture to just help people rest more and sleep more, and just the gift of that, and how we overlook it as or quick to dismiss rest and sleep as a luxury or a weakness or whatever, when it's an essential part of what it means to be human. So that's so cool.
Going back to your mission, define Afrofuturism for me.
Afrofuturism is a term, it's a new terminology. Well, new as of 1990s. But it's not a new concept. For the short answer is, anytime there is a story for Black people where they can see themselves in the future, that is a form of Afrofuturism. Okay. So Uhura on Star Trek, and Geordi on Star Trek. It's both Star Trek. Lando Calrissian in Star Wars. Those are some of the first figures that you see in sci-fi futuristic programming, and it was groundbreaking in that for so many Black people, they didn't see themselves in those spaces, so they enjoy those spaces but did not see themselves there.
Right.
So anytime you can put for black people in the center of the story, and the story is set in the future, that is a form of Afrofuturism. But it is also simultaneously looking backwards. So being able to look forward and look backwards, but putting black people in the center of the story and not on the margins of it is a form of Afrofuturism. There's lots of definitions of what it is and what it can be. It lives in a world of sci-fi easily. It lives in a world of fantasy as well. But it's Earth, Wind, and Fire, Parliament and the Funkadelics, Sun Ra. They were talking about and dressing in a way that was like, why are you wearing spacesuits?
Oh,
You know, you're talking
right.
about motherships and Egyptology and the third eye, and just all of these novel concepts at the time, but looking beyond what was seen and seeing a future for black people that was not present anywhere else. And at the same time, it is ancient when you look back at the doggone people, people on the continent of Africa that thousands of years ago were existing, and hundreds of years ago talking about the stars and constellations and identifying things that had not yet even been discovered by science and being discredited. But then science catches up and says, oh, Sirius B is a thing. You were talking about this thing beyond what we could see. And how did they know that? And some people say aliens, and, you know, but whatever it is a science that existed for a people and a cosmology that existed for a people on the continent of Africa well before science caught up with technology.
And I'm embarrassed to say I was not familiar with that term. The doggone people. What was the term that you used in the
the Dogon people.
The Dogon people.
D-O-G-O-N. Yes.
D-O-G-O-N.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It just kind of came out. It's like, is that right? Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, I didn't put you on the spot there.
Yeah. It's just all of these things that what Afrofuturism is. When you look it up, it can be a large, long definition. It can go back hundreds of years. It can go back to yesterday. When it's easy to see it when you're looking at artists because it's a visual representation. It's also music. Missy Elliott is often thrown in when there's discussions of Afrofuturism because all of her music videos are so futuristic in nature and so just not doing what anybody else was doing. Janelle Monáe is also one of those people, but then the other people that I referenced, Parliament and Sun Ra as well. But in literature, Octavia Butler, one of the first Black women recognized in science fiction. She is Afrofuturistic. Everything she wrote is Afrofuturism.
I still haven't read her, but it's on my list. I did read N.K. Jemisin.
I was going to bring up N.K. Jemisin. My wife's a big fan of hers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Kindred by Octavia Butler is my favorite book in the world.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
I'm going to read it. There's
Kindred.
one that's is it the Parable of the Mustard Seed? There's something, a mustard seed?
Parable of the Sower.
Parable of the Sower. I knew it was biblical.
Yes.
That's the one I thought I would read, but I will read that one instead.
Yeah.
Kindred, that you're just saying.
Kindred, it's history.
Okay.
And it's also sci-fi.
What's better? What could be better?
Yeah.
And it's the least sci-fi of all of her novels.
Okay.
The book preface. So there's a Black woman and her husband that are living in California in the 1970s, and somehow she is transported to Maryland in 1815 on the plantation where her family resides.
Wow. Kindred.
Time travel, but dark.
Yes. But also, like, questions of what is home, who is family,
Right.
identity, the things that you think you know with a modern education.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that sense of looking forward and looking to the past at the same time.
Yes.
Like, kind of
Yeah.
not being able to do one without the other, in
Hmm.
how they're all
And
intertwined, both
yeah,
intertwined.
Yes.
and I'm thinking of Wakanda is what springs to mind for me,
Oh, absolutely.
which
Yeah.
was
Mm.
a visual instead of a music or a book. But yeah, Wakanda was.
And that was actually all of those things
Mm.
Mm,
because it sparked so much. So the music in the movie, and then all of the conversations around it. We just had a special event last year. No, I'm sorry, that was this year. We just our
it's almost next year. I hate
right.
to tell you.
In my mind, I'm already at the next year.
I know. I
But
know.
this year, our Juneteenth steampunk tea party, the theme was Victorian Wakanda. So it's a
No.
right.
What
Yes.
did people do? Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, our Juneteenth steampunk tea party is a Juneteenth celebration. We are honoring those that went before us in the
Hmm.
Victorian era, so post Reconstruction, early 20th century, that often get overlooked and unrecognized
Hmm.
but the achievements and the academic activism, journalism, invention, and science and technology, the things that Black people were doing at that time were amazing, but we always just glance over them. So that's how we honor and celebrate Juneteenth. The steampunk is because we're nerds,
Hmm.
and steampunk is a wonderful way to talk about technology of the past and also the
Right.
present. So it is a tea party held in a castle, Jocelyn Castle, and it is a full tea party with food, tea, sweets, um, but also a string quartet and an Afro punk band and a game room because we always have a board game room, but also role play games and murder mysteries and all sorts of other things. And people are encouraged to come
So cool.
dressed in steampunk, Victorian, or Western wear because all is applicable, or nothing at all. Or they don't have to come dressed up at all, but people generally do. And this year with Victorian Wakanda, it was it. I think it just tapped in and allowed people to do something even more grand.
Mm,
And there was a lot of Victorian, there's still a lot of Victorian, but then also adding African elements to their outfits. Um, it was a beautiful day.
hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like one of the. Uh, I want to visit Omaha just for that. That's
Hmm.
Top of
how
June.
great, how wonderful.
Yeah.
This is probably too generalizing, so you may want to pass on it. But what do you think the state of nerd culture is among African Americans? Do you think it's growing? Do you think it remains
Oh,
a subset? Like, how is that? What are the changes are you seeing?
it's interesting. I think it's growing in that there are young people coming into the world that are falling in love with all of these nerdy
Hmm.
things that we as older people have been doing most of our lives or trying not to let people know what we were doing. Um, I think that for Black people, we've always done these things
Right.
and it's always been present, but do you talk about it? I
Mm,
think that's where if you see growth in numbers, that's where it is. It's the fear of letting other people know what exactly you're doing outside of your circle or your sphere because
right.
you are not always welcomed in spaces.
Mm,
That brings up something we wanted to ask about as well. And in a previous interview that we read, like you talked about one of the ideas behind the house was, and correct me if I get this quote wrong, but you kind of talked about creating a safe place to be Black and nerdy, right? That just a safe place for that. And you're referring now to kind of this sense of, is this a safe place to talk about my nerdiness? To share. Would you mind just talking a little bit more about that? I mean, where does the sense of say more, please?
Well, I've been Black and nerdy my whole life, so I was comfortable living in that skin. It didn't take much for me to overcome, I'm going to be the only Black person in this space. Because I live in Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm often used to being the only Black person in a space. That's how I grew up. Was one of the only in a space. But when I moved back, because I was in Maryland for many years, moved back home and wanted to connect with community and see what was happening. Because I've always, even as a teenager, I was volunteering for the Great Plains Black History Museum, which is in Omaha, and wanting to do things in the community around history. Didn't realize how deep that really was for me, even as a teenager. But when I moved back home, having worked on a PhD in history, I wanted to see what's happening in the community and how have we grown? What's changed? What's new? Because I was gone for 10 years and came home and things don't look necessarily that different, but the ways that people connect were a little different as I was getting older and not, it's like, I'm too old for the club. I'm not, I don't like the concerts, like just the things that you do when you're young to connect and go out.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you gather a group of people that may not know each other? And so the game night became what I wanted to do in the community, because there was nothing like that in the community that I could see. And it was common to go to a game store or a board game cafe outside of my community and see people on a Tuesday with their friends playing board games, but I didn't see any Black people at those tables. So I started the game nights as a way to gather the people that I knew and also figure out what's happening in the community and also begin to make some connections for people, because it's like, oh, I know so-and-so over here is also a nerd, and that person over there is a huge nerd, and they don't know each other. Right. They have similar backgrounds living in the same city and like the same thing. Wonder what would happen if they got together. So that sort of thing. So that's where the house was, that was at the center of what the goal was.
It just
was
grew
really
from
just
there.
Bringing people together at a table, see what happens. And I named it the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls, because I name things. And so even before our first game night, we had a name. And it really came from, I'm watching Game of Thrones and I don't see a house that represents me. So I wanted a house that represented me, but would also include all of my other friends that were not of color. So that's the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls.
It's a great name. It's a great name.
Thank you.
I love that. Yeah. Thanks for telling sharing a little bit of the origin story. So it starts from game night.
Question?
Yeah. Well, no, I think so. I was just asking about also about kind of this sense of this idea of creating a safe place, as you were saying, to kind of be Black and nerdy. And so that's great. That's great.
The
Well, go ahead.
I realized that I was comfortable going out into those spaces. And then after we have the house, and I'm bringing these people, I'm outing these people. Basically, didn't realize that that's what I was doing at the time. But
hey, there's a nerd
outing them.
This person, they're a
and
nerd.
then also didn't realize how important that was gonna be, because I knew that I was a nerd, and they all knew that I was a nerd, and I knew that they were nerds, but nobody else knew necessarily that they were nerds, like at work or at church or other. People didn't know. So I'm outing them, and then also making it okay. It's like, okay, we're all here. We all like the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about it. And then people would come up and ask, I've never been to a Renaissance fair. Can I go with you? and I always, I wonder if the person that I talk about has ever heard me say this, because it is a person. And then I say, yes, but why are we whispering? So
What? Where do you?
That's great. I love it.
That is. Where do you think that sense of, I don't know if fear is the right word, but I guess it's what's coming to me at the moment, where that sense of fear comes from?
It is absolutely fear.
Yeah. Where does that come?
Because especially being in a predominantly white city, you go into spaces differently. I walk into spaces not knowing what I might confront, and already having conversations in my head about what I'm going to do if I encounter said situation before I ever get out of my car. So to go into a comic book store or another nerdy event, like a convention, and to go in, by myself or with another person, and being Black in this city, I don't know what the reaction, or what, not the reaction, but I don't know how I'm going to be received in said space. Because when I go into spaces, I am not always welcomed or well received, and sometimes questioned. Like, why are you here? Or, oh, you don't know anything about this. Because there's also this idea that Black people are not nerdy. Like, we don't like these things, or we're new in that space or that sphere. And that's why I said in the beginning, we've been here. I grew up watching the same nerdy movies and television shows as every one of my peers. But when I go into the space, I am sometimes questioned about my knowledge of those things.
Wow.
When I saw Star Wars at 6. I'm not new to this. So that it is a definite fear. And I have been ignored at the comic book store. And I don't know if it's because I'm a woman, or because they're on the spectrum, or I'm Black. I don't know. But I know how I have felt when I'm in there and other people are talked to or asked questions of, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm okay doing that, but not everybody else is.
Yeah.
So, I met a man once. We were at an event, and there was an older gentleman that came up to the table, and he's probably in his maybe early 70s. And he came and he asked some questions about, what we were and what we did. And we had a game night coming up. And he asked a couple of more questions, and then he kind of walked away. He took the stuff and he kind of walked away. And then 5 minutes later, he came back and he asked another question. And was like, oh, okay. And then he walked away, and I was like, he is a nerd. Because I would ask him, so do you like, no, I'm not a nerd. I'm not.
No.
And then 5 minutes later, he came back, he asked another question, and I was like, sir, what is the nerdy thing that you love? And he was like, well, I mean, I just, I have a collection of comic books that goes back 30 years. And I was
That's
like,
great.
why didn't you start with that?
Right.
And he's like, well, I mean, I don't talk to people. No, this is an older black man. He's in his 70s.
Right.
And he was not. I mean, I'm sitting here with the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls shirt on. I've got nerdy stuff on the table. I'm talking about having a game night and going to conventions and these kinds of things. And he is not comfortable telling me
Wow.
that he is a comic book head and has been.
Mm.
And we look alike.
Yeah.
It took him 30 minutes to get comfortable to tell me, you know.
Because
okay,
he spent 60 years keeping it on the down low, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
So that's why the house exists.
It's a great reason to exist. Thanks for sharing your experience and telling us. That's I think it's another, yeah, it's a yeah, makes me mindful of just well, a couple things, one more serious but one quite silly, but the more serious thing, I mean, just yet another example of I think Kevin and I have talked about this in past episodes, that, you know, as old middle-aged white guys, we have this privilege of being allowed to be nerdy, you know, and you know, and you can go anywhere and people say, oh yeah, that's and that's a unspoken privilege that I think we often that I know I don't am always aware of or recognize. So yes, appreciate your sharing your experience. And the other thing, the story of the older man makes me think about, like, I was wondering, like, is there a question? Would it be the perfect question that you could ask anybody to suss out whether they're a nerd or not, right? Like, whether they're secretly a nerd.
I got one.
You got one? Okay, what is it?
Well, what you would do is make a mistake, like a clear mistake, to see if they call you on it. So you say, didn't you just love Mr. Spock in Star Wars? And if they go, he wasn't. Oh. So just a couple of little stuff like that. Because nerds would immediately jump on that one.
Right. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Our kids grew up with SpongeBob. It reminds me also of there's some scene in one of the SpongeBob movies or episodes like that where SpongeBob or Patrick is trying to act very, very non-nerdy and very cool, but the other one is singing the "I'm a Goofy Goober" song, and you could just see the other person just holding back because they want to sing along that I'm a Goofy Goober, and then finally they can't hold back anymore. They just join in singing "I'm a Goofy Goober." Yeah. So, but I think the Mr. Spock in Star Wars is better.
And it's interesting, you know, I shared that story, and that was a long time ago. And I just had another encounter with someone this year, and this person is not that much older than me. And I was in a business program, and they were my advisor in the business program. So she's business, you know, she's run businesses, she's really good at this, and this is what she's done, and the money, and, you know, all of these things. When it came to the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls, and I don't often look at it as a business. It's a nonprofit. It's, you know, it's a passion. It's what I do. But I'm in this program, and she wasn't really understanding what we did and what, you know, what is this? And I would explain it and talk about the programming, talk about our youth programming, you know, talk about community engagement and all those things and partnerships. And she was kind of getting it, but not really. And I don't know exactly what it was that triggered it for her. And this is a person that also said, I don't understand this because I'm not a nerd. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at her like, okay, she's very business focused, and yeah, no, she's not a nerd. And then it came to cosplay. And when she saw the pictures from some of the events, it clicked for her. And she was like, oh, I love dressing up.
Right. You play dress up.
Oh, that's called cosplay.
Interesting.
Oh,
Interesting.
I didn't know that there was a name for that. And then she shows the picture of her from last year. She went to some con in Atlanta, and she was a blue avatar person.
No.
She was completely
You are
blue.
kidding. Big nerd.
I'm not a nerd, but I like to
Right.
go as a blue
But
avatar.
I do like to dress as a blue alien.
That's great.
Damn.
There's an inner nerd in all of us. That's so great.
Are the
If that
nerd
were in a
I'm looking
movie,
for.
I'd be like, that's not realistic. That would never.
Ooh. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
No, that's what you.
sweet. I love
I
it,
don't
I
really
love it.
tell people. I just have my couple of friends that I went with. It's like, see, this is the thing.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of opened up her whole world when I showed her all the things and told her all the things, and then I started talking about D&D, and she started asking more and more questions, and I was like, why is she asking me so many questions about D&D? And then finally she said, Jade, I'm interested. What is this Dungeons and Dragons? Tell me more. I'm really interested. I was like, oh, we were in a business session. I was like, was she stuck on this one thing?
'Cause she wants an invite. That's why.
She wants an invite.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Wow. Look at
She
that.
wants an invite. She went from, I don't understand this, I'm not nerdy, to, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons and I'm going to dress up as, this character. It's like, ma'am. Okay.
That is something. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear a little bit about your PhD, and then I want to hear some games you are enjoying.
The PhD is on pause permanently, probably. I finished all my coursework at Morgan State University, and was about to go into dissertation phase, and my mom became ill, and I left Maryland and came home to take care of my mother, and then ended up taking care of her and then my father. I'm a late in life addition to the family, and as the youngest, and they were older, I said, I just changed my life, came home and took care of them, because I always felt like that's what I was going to do, because that's what they told me I was going to do.
Oh, gosh.
That they had me to take care of them. And I looked up one, and I'll never forget, she told me, I had you so you could take care of me. And I looked up at 8 years old and I was like, why me, Lord?
Wow.
But
Wow.
that ended up being what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
was to take care of them. So I came home and took care of my father until he went home to be with the Lord, and took care of my mother until she left in 2022. And no regrets. It was what I was supposed to do. It was because of that I came home and started the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls.
Look at that.
So that's the PhD. I still teach. I still teach. I still write. I'm still researching.
What's your area? History?
So primarily U.S. history, 19th, early 20th century America, African American history, Black women's history, a little pre-colonial Africa, and the Caribbean are my areas. So.
You talked about before we start recording. You talked about Young History Detectives program at the house, where you get to write the curriculum about and lead, right? The principal teacher for it. Are those some of the areas of history that participants explore through that program too?
Yes. So Young History Detectives are between 9 and 18 years old. It didn't start off at 18. It aged up with the children. It is our youth program that has a focus and emphasis on African American history, specifically in Omaha, Nebraska. So on a national scope, and a local. And what the children are doing is not just learning history. They're learning about the history of their community, specifically through research. So each kid gets an address on 24th, 30th, or 16th Streets, which are significant in North Omaha, the historically Black area in Omaha, Nebraska. and they are researching a business or a residence on those streets from the life for the life cycle of that address, from the 19 teens to the present day, to see what sorts of things were in the community over a period of time. So they're looking and building a picture of the community from its resources and the people that were running those resources, and also people living in homes, so they can see what neighborhoods look like by the people that were living in them, and the opportunities and businesses that were there in the 1930s and the 1940s and the 1950s and are no longer there. So it's and then we go out to the locations and take pictures of what is there standing, and also with the child who is documenting that history. And what oftentimes is the case is that there's nothing there. It's an empty lot. It's just grass, or it's just a parking lot. And so this vibrant community that was once I want to say a beacon on the hill. That seems really, really poetic and odd. But it was this beautiful, shiny thing in the city, and a space where every major jazz musician and blues musician during from the 1920s to the 1960s came through Omaha, Nebraska, and performed. And not just jazz and blues, but it was a vibrant, living community. And after things happened, and there were some riots, after some police incidents in the community, and destruction that was never addressed or repaired ever again. So it brings a lot of questions to the kids, because they know the area. They have family that might be in the area, but they know the area because a lot of our there's a cultural renaissance happening in the area as far as the arts and history. And so they go to these places. They know the area, but then there's nothing there that reflects what they're researching. Like the Poodle Parlor,
Right.
which was in the 1950s a pet store. Like, there was a pet store on 24th Street. There was a pet store. There were 2 skating rinks. There was multiple movie theaters and theatrical spaces for plays. Multiple restaurants and pharmacies and meat markets and bakeries and florists. So it's a vibrant, living community that now has maybe a restaurant, a new theater that was just built for plays, and there are other spaces, but nothing like what it used to be. So that's the research that these kids are doing, and they learn how to use the databases at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. They use the archives at the University of Nebraska and also the Durham History Museum, and they do the field research. They do interviews.
Jeez.
And
that's amazing.
They're kids doing this college level. I tell them that, you're in this space now, you're my college student, and they all sit up. They all sit up.
And they're doing a service to the community, because those things,
exactly right.
They will be lost, and they have time.
And so
erases.
that's the bigger plan, is to take everything that they have created. I put it all into a file, and the goal is to create a VR tour or experience and an exhibition with the things that they have discovered. So we're in the phase of making this public. Like, what does it look like? Exhibition phase for the next few years. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, as we draw things to a close, give me some of your highlights in gaming right now. What are you enjoying?
Well, because I do all of this, I don't get to play many games.
Sure.
Although I do play Barista Cat.
Barista Cat.
Barista Cat. Yes.
Cool.
And
Cappuccino.
the Letter Tycoon is one of my favorite games that I do not get to play as often as I want to. But I'm a simmer. I play The Sims.
Yeah.
And and I love Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm very new to it. I'm very new to it. But yeah. Those are my loves right now.
Are you mostly a board gamer who's now exploring D&D and tabletop role playing, or how would you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
similar.
because growing up, my parents, my dad was the head deacon, and my mother was the head deaconess. The Dungeons and Dragons was of the devil.
Right. Satanic panic.
Yeah.
What does a deaconess do? I'm familiar with deacons, but
The
I think
stewards of the church. Where did that come from? They just kind of came right up. Stewards.
wow.
But yeah, stewards of the church. They're in my particular experience, growing up, they led the mission work.
Okay.
So within the community, they were the mission driven force of women. So I think there was a separate mission group, but they sort of spearheaded a lot of those activities going into the community. They also were the ones that set up the communion and did all of those sorts of things in service to the pastor and the deacons. And yeah.
I know we're wrapping up, but just as you're talking about your parents' role in the church, I can't resist from asking, do you have any reflections on the role that the church played in who you are today in terms of this mission, this vision of creating safe places to be Black and nerdy, in terms of Afrofuturism, in terms, all these things we've been talking about. Did you find growing up in your church experience, were there ways that it helped nurture that, and ways that it helped hinder that, or how do you describe that relation as you nurture it? Yeah.
Credit my church experience with, there's the spiritual part of my life, and that's the goal, right? Yeah. But there's also I know how to run a meeting. I know how to run a committee. I know how to go out and serve. I know how to I know how to write a script. I know how to do public speaking, like all of those things. I know how to teach a class. Yeah. I know how to manage a group of kids. I got all of those skills at my church.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. How to cater a meal, how to decorate a space. That's all from church.
I love that.
Everything that I do, I can point back to. So when I was 7 years old, I would have to help the deaconess lay these things out for communion on Saturday afternoon, because Sunday we have to come in and do this. So, and my mother was the floral committee. She was the floral committee. On Saturday, we're at the church. We're putting all the things out. We're watering all the plants, or we're going to the store and getting more silk flowers so we can add into this bouquet because pastor has this person coming, and yada, yada, yada. So it's all of those other skills that you have, that you develop over time, that I have, now when I'm running an event and I'm like, we need a set of flowers over there, or we need some decor there, we need a backdrop over there. That all comes from my life at Mount Nebo Missionary Baptist Church.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you.
I'm picturing the Karate Kid where, he's waxing the car and painting the fence, and then he realizes he's learned karate the whole time.
I've actually learned to run a nonprofit. That's right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Which churches are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work. And
it does. It does.
Jade, how can people find the House of Afro Capes and Curls? Any of our listeners, if they want to support it, if they want to find out more, what are some sources how can they do that?
Afros, Capes, Curls.com is our website. And House AfroCon, I think, is Instagram and Facebook and maybe LinkedIn. But AfrosCapesCurls.com is the best way.
Okay.
And you can also donate because we are a nonprofit.
Great.
Are you your own nonprofit, just out of curiosity, or is it associated with the university?
We are our own nonprofit.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, this has been such a delight. Thanks so much, Jade, for joining us and sharing some of your story and the story of the house with our listeners. I know it's been, I feel a lot better about the world having had this conversation. So thank you, Jade.
What a nice way to start a Monday.
It has
Who
been
knew?
It's a heavy lift.
That's awesome.
given me hope for the world. So Kevin, anything else from you or?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. And if anybody wants to find us, we're at playsavestheworld.com. You can find all of our episodes there. You're welcome to email us anytime. info@playsavestheworld.com. We love to hear from folks and love getting to talk to amazing evangelists of play like you, Jade. So thanks again so much. We really, really appreciate your spending time with us.
Oh, I hear doorbell.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.